Hey YouTube, in a video on Thursday, I went over the top non-legendary Pokemon for Master League because I only have one Pokemon that's legendary level 50 and that is Lugia, as you can see on the screen. Otherwise, I just need to use non-legendary. And in my top 5 or 6 that I put out were Excadrill and MAMOSWINE, and I wanted to use both of them here. Again, this team double weak. Here's the problem: double weak to fighting, double weak to fire, double weak to water in the back. So not the best team to use, but I just wanted to use them to showcase both of them to see their strengths and weaknesses. And as the title says and as the thumbnail says, MAMOSWINE is, in my opinion, one of the best non-legendary Master League Pokemon. I have used this thing since season 1 or 2, whenever whenever it came into the game. And back in when it was level 40, because look at the meta, you can beat the dragons, you can beat flyers. Even against Dialga, like I said, back at level 40, you can just go straight Powder Snow Avalanche and beat it. It was just such a strong Pokemon. And as you're going to see in these battles, it is still a very, very strong Pokemon. Excadrill, unfortunately, I think once we get to level 50, struggles a bit more. And I'm going to go over that as well. And here's a perfect example of why these Pokemon now have more trouble. Fairy. Great. I've got a Steel to deal with a Fairy. But I don't. Because all these Fairies, not all of them, but Xerneas and Zacian now have close combat, which means that I am going to basically lose every even shield matchup. So they do end up double shielding here as well. So that's the only good news for me, is that I get 2 shields here, but they get 3 close combats to take me out here. That is okay, because now what you're seeing is MAMOSWINE with energy advantage, and kind of like Metagross that I mentioned, I guess, on the weekend. MAMOSWINE is also one of those Pokemon where energy advantage, you are in such a good spot. So I got 4 Powder Snows through there, 4 or 5. Avalanche, High Horsehair, both hit like trucks. And it is a Nalingo, which is a poison / rock, which is double weak to ground. So goodbye, that's a one-shot. Here comes with something that's double weak to ice. That's a one-shot. Great coverage there. So it just has great coverage, right? Because you have all these steals and you have all these flyers, and you have all these dragons. So it just like takes away everything. Excadrill is too weak and very spammy, but very, very glassy and very weak. What is now level 50. And let me actually just see something on PvPoke while we talk about this, because what I just found is that you cannot one-shot anything. Dialga, even Dialga with Mudshot Joe, and you cannot one-shot. So, and double super effective Rock Slide on a Fire Flying only did like 80%. So you cannot basically one-shot anything, and you're so glassy. It really limits it, and I now understand why it has dropped to like 60, 70 on the rankings, because it just does not have, your spamminess does not make up for the bulk that you do not have right now. So I just want to check one thing here on this. I want to see the difference between level 40 and level 50 stats for, let's make it level 51 for both Dialga and Excadrill, because I want to compare to see the stat procs, to see how much of a difference level 40 versus level 50 makes, and why this thing just seems to be hurting. Okay, interesting. So I'm guessing 13. Yeah, so here's the problem. And this is why you feel it in the Master League. So Excadrill only has, I went over this in my Thursday video. I went over in my Thursday video saying Excadrill's overall stat product of 6,000 is pathetic when you compare it to Dialga 8,600, Mewtwo in the 8,000s, Groudon and Kyogre 9,000, Lugia 10,000. Like, its stat product is terrible. So the question I just had was, what was the difference between level 40 and level 50? And do these legendaries just get that extra boost overall? And the answer is yes. There is a slight, actually, this is not even slight, but there's definitely way more of a difference. Let me just give you the numbers. So in terms of overall stat product, you go from 4930 to 6028 excadrill from level 40 to level 50. So we're looking at just under 1100. Your attack raises by 15, your defense raises by 8, and your stamina raises by 14. Dialga, on the other hand, goes from 7082 to 8664. So we are looking at just under 1600. The attack rises by 16, the defense rises by 13, and the stamina rises by 12. And that's kind of what happens with, I think, every legendary Pokemon and every Pokemon with has better just stat products than you. Let me just look up MAMOSWINE right now, because MAMOSWINE is probably MAMOSWINE is comparable, actually 5300 to 6400, so 1100 difference. But I'm guessing the legendaries, just because they're already so far ahead on stat product, they bump up more. And Mewtwo's the same thing. It goes from 6976 overall stat product in level 40 to an 8413 in level 50, which is 1500, right? So the difference seems to be that the legendaries are adding about 400 to 500 extra stat product compared from the level 40 to level 50. So while excadrill was definitely one of the top metas in level 40, the fact that you're now losing an extra like 500, 600 stat product overall makes you hit less, and it just feels like you're taking more. And that is what I found. And like, this is a perfect example where I'm now going to take an Arrow Blast from a Lugia, and it does like 70%, 75%, and they're in like the pretty deep yellow, and this will not one shot. And that's just kind of what I feel is the drawback with the excadrill right now. MAMOSWINE is different. MAMOSWINE is different because it still hits way harder than excadrill. And why did I close that when I was going to just make that point? Which is interesting because it actually has a lower stat product on the attack. Why does it feel like it hits way harder? Because maybe it's just maybe it's just Avalanche and a high horsepower are just way harder hitting than Drill Run or Rock Slide. So it's also a moveset thing. Because they actually have, I mean, the overall stat product is higher on MAMOSWINE by 500. The attack is actually slightly lower, just has much higher defense, 14 higher in defense. So the overall stat product is higher by 500. And the difference is Drill Run and Rock Slide versus Avalanche and high horsepower. There's no comparison because those two moves are way harder hitting. So when you have similar attacks, better overall stat product with MAMOSWINE, and just as the same coverage, right? Rocks, actually probably even better coverage with MAMOSWINE because Rock is only great for flyers, but Avalanche is good for flyers and dragons, and high horsepower is great for steals and better move than Drill Run. Will one-shot a lot of things. That is why MAMOSWINE is the superior of these two. And just, again, for the coverage of Avalanche and high horsepower in this meta, very, very, very strong. So definitely one worth building up if you have it. And you're going to watch me lose because this team is a terrible team comp. Because they are basically just, because again, double super effective Rock Slide, unable to take down a Ho-Ho because you just don't hit hard enough. And now I'm going to get farmed down. So in terms of the Master League, like I said, again, we'll see if there's any move updates. I don't think move updates rarely affect the Master League. There's very rare that they like buff or nerf a move that affects the Master League Pokemon. It is always almost just Great League and Ultra League specific. What they do for the Master League is, so I just got 2 shields with MAMOSWINE on Dialga, which is great. What they do with the Master League is they give legacy moves or new moves to Pokemon in raids, as you saw with Xerneas, Xerneas with Geomancy, as you saw with Rayquaza with Breaking Swipes, Yveltal with Things, whatever. But basically, you get the meta shift based on moves appearing in raids. So that is how they change the meta for the Master League. So you're more safe, I think, to build. I mean, I think you're safe in any league to build Pokemon. Like I said, it's very rare for Pokemon to be like top. It's only happened like a couple times where they were like a top like 10, 15 Pokemon and then they got nerfed into the ground. Trevenant and Nidoqueen being the 2 most recent where that has happened in the Great League. But in terms of Master League, I think you're more safe building up a Pokemon like Mamoswine because the meta is not going to shift enough to cause it to like drop substantially. So that is it. I go down there too because, I mean, Zacian had a move anyway, so I would have lost CMP against it because you're not going to win CMP against the thing. That's the only problem with these non-legendaries that aren't that aren't Metagross or Dragonite. You're losing CMP a lot, which is way more devastating in the Master League than it is in the Great League most of the time. So that is it. We'll let these battles play out. I've got some not good. I had a good Master League, not good Master League. I had a good Catch Cup team this morning because it was like there were 2 very accessible Pokemon that were around a ton, like Double and Quagsire, which are two of the best, not best, but like 2 of like top 20, 30 anyways in Great League. So, and they were very accessible this year. And then I used Charizard, which Charizard was accessible. You just have to Elite TM Blast Burn on it. But tomorrow I'm using the 6 Pokemon that I have built up. And because I've already used Double and Quagsire, I'm using out of the 4 Pokemon I haven't used. So you are getting a mismatch of terrible Pokemon that should never be put together. I've dropped how much have I dropped? A couple hundred yellow just in this cup, which is fine. Like, again, if I had not hit Legend yet, best believe I would build up 3 super strong meta Pokemon to deal with that. But unfortunately, but fortunately I have hit it, so I can just get away with messing around. And like I mentioned earlier in this video, to end this video, one of the problems with Master League is you're never going to win CMP against the legendaries. CMP would have won if they did not have a move, but they do have a move, so we are taken out here because that is unfortunately the flaws of not having a legendary Pokemon. Is your attack sucks compared to the legendaries. Anyways, that is it. Hope you had a good community day. Not community day, Go Fest. Hope you had a good Go Fest. Stay tuned for those fun, stupid teams tomorrow. If you have any Catch Cup teams that you're actually doing well with, or you got a legend run in Master League or this, link in the description. Otherwise, we will stay tuned for the move update and season turnover next week, not like on Thursday or Friday, league turnover. So also keep in mind, it's not just the GBL season that turns over, it's the entirety of the Pokemon season. So there's going to be new spawns and everything like that, but there's also new bonuses. And what I'm worried about, and cross your fingers, is they're going to take away the guaranteed XL for trading, because that if they do, it would be consistent with what they've been doing for the last 4 seasons. 1 season off, 1 season on, 1 season off, 1 season on. So we're at the season off. So I would not be surprised if they got rid of the guaranteed trading for XL candy under 100 kilometers like it is now, and then brought it back the following season, which would be 3 months later. So that's December. But we'll see. I will cover all that when it's dropped. Anyways, that's it. Thanks for watching. See you guys in the next one.